Welcome to part 2 of School of Friends. And I just begun really recording these, and I am planning on just recording a series about this subject of friends, School of Friends, in a world, as I said on the first episode, of people who are connected yet disconnected, full of opportunity but lacking purpose, overwhelmed with information, bad news invading our world all of the time, anxiety, challenges, pressure in our world. What if the answer? What if the key to avoiding your burnout? What if the key to avoiding your moral fall? What if the key to avoiding the negative effects of the challenges of this life? What if it was as simple as friends? Having friends, being friends, making friends, knowing how to be a great friend, but not just avoiding the negative stuff. But what if friends is a key to your breakthrough? As I said before, we're in a world where we have our fitness trainers and our coaches for nearly every aspect of our lives. And maybe the reason is because we don't have any mates. And so I'm just going to unpack this subject a little bit more. And actually, this teaching came to me in the midst of a difficult season, but it came from an unlikely source, if I'm being honest. I was driving a couple of 100 miles on a trip right in the middle of a difficult season that I briefly mentioned. And I listened to a podcast. My favorite podcast, actually, The Diary of a CEO. And I have no problem about plugging Stephen Bartlett myself. But on this occasion, he was interviewing a man that is best known for the subject of the power of why, Simon Sinek. But on this occasion, on the podcast, he was talking about loneliness. And he began to unpack 4 themes. Well, if you know me at all, 4 themes is going to be a quadrant, and that's what you can see up there just over my shoulder. A very simple quadrant that I actually stopped the car and drew in my journal on that journey, because I knew that I'd heard something articulated in a way, it wasn't new to me, but the way it came to me felt very fresh. And so I scribbled my quadrant in my journal, and I've put it up there for you. And it was really profound. And as I listened to it, I knew that it was opening up many thoughts for me, thoughts that I will unpack with you. And the picture you can see over my other shoulder, it's supposed to be somebody getting in the mud and ultimately, hopefully, getting them out of the mud. And that was the first point. As I listened that day to the podcast, and I listened to, thoughts similar to some of the things that I've shared and actually was sharing prior to that. But as I say, said in this really sharp way, the point number 1 was that friends, they get in the mud with us. They sit in the mud was actually the phrase that was used on that podcast, but they get in the mud. They might not necessarily have anything to say, might not have anything to offer to solve the situation, but the most powerful thing that we can do as friends is to get into the mud, the situation, the challenge, the problem, the difficulty, the sadness, the place of loss. And sometimes when it comes to loss or grief, honestly, the best thing that we can ever do is just let somebody know, I'm here. And sitting in the mud's a good description of that. And I loved the phrase that was used on that podcast, my friends never cry alone. I actually changed it slightly and made it, my friends answer the phone, and I answer the phone. You see that smartphone in your hand that you're watching this on? I think some of us need reminding that we can talk to other human beings using it. And so my friends answer the phone became a phrase. And of course, if I'm someone's friend, I'm going to answer the phone to them. Friends, sit in the mud. And the truth is, as you sit in the mud, maybe let some tears flow from your eyes. Perhaps your tears will help to remove some of the mud from the person who is sitting in the mud. Remove it from their eyes. Or perhaps as believers, we will allow the river of living water to flow out of our bellies and lift them up above the sediment, the muddy sediment, as it were, at the bottom of the river. Friends, they get in the mud. We'll talk some more about this and how it relates to other pictures and images and experiences and promises and benefits that we find in the Christian faith and in our Bible. So number one, friends, sit in the mud. We don't always need to say anything, just be. Maybe we'll say no words in a tragic situation, but I'm here. And if that I'm here comes with the confidence that we can give, that if somebody does reach out, we'll answer. We'll see the text. We'll hear the phone. I'm here. I'm present. I'm with you. I'm for you. I don't have any answers right now. Friends, they get in the mud. They sit in the mud. And then the second point was that friends know you. I really love this. You know, we live in a world where we've got polarized friendships on social media. It's difficult, painful, challenging, to say the least. But friends, they know you. Some years ago, two members of my team gave me a gift. Now, the background to that gift was that it was in the days of moving up from a DVD player to a Blu-ray player. And I bought my Blu-ray player, and I bought with it, special offer, $99, the Blu-ray set of Planet Earth. And I'd watched it before. I'd actually rented the DVD set and I'd watched it. Thing was, when I bought the Blu-ray set, I was disappointed. I was disappointed because it didn't contain the making of Planet Earth. And I love photography, and I was intrigued by how they made that series. So here I am with the better quality Blu-ray, but it was lacking something. Well, two friends of mine, for my next birthday, they bought me the DVD box set. I got really excited. They tell me it was the most excited they'd ever seen me receiving a gift. It's true. But why was I so excited? I already had the Blu-ray set. Because they bought me the DVD set. Now, I wouldn't have bought that for myself, but I really wanted it. You see, they knew me. They demonstrated by that gift that they knew me. You know, sometimes the most powerful, the most appreciated gifts are not the ones of the highest value. They're the ones that say, I know you. I love that. I love that about God, but it's a key to friendship. Our friends know us. They know what we love. They know what makes us tick. You see, through social media, we don't always know that. Those distant digital friends. No, friends. They know me. It's one of the things my wife is very good at. She'll know someone and she'll give them a gift that is appropriate because she's saying, I know you. And then the third thing is, they'll speak truth, or they'll have the difficult conversations. Oh boy, we need this. We need people who will tell us the way it is. I love the phrase in the Bible, speaking the truth in love. It does need the love piece though. And it's really friends that are most able to do that. It's friends that are most able to convey that truth wrapped up in love. Love that's been earned through trust over a period of time. Love and friendship that has been tested in some of the challenges of time. Tested by giving and receiving feedback. Friends, they have the difficult conversations with us. The truth is, all of us need somebody, somewhere in our lives, who will give us that moment, that feedback, that check. Do you know what that looks like? Perhaps they'll say to us, do you know what you sound like? Are you doing okay? You don't seem like you're your normal self. What's going on? A combination of knowing somebody and having the difficult conversation. And then finally, the fourth point was that friends remind us of a higher purpose for our lives. It's related, of course, to getting us out of the mud, to getting in the mud, to lifting our heads up. That's what friends do. They remind us of the purpose of our lives, the impact, the influence of our lives. Our heads are down. We've had a bad day where we're in the middle of a trial. Maybe we're in self-regret or self-pity, and we need somebody who lifts us above the self and points us to a higher purpose, reminds us of the things that we've done, the successes we've had in our lives, the influence we've had over people. My grandfather, Ernest Rayner, he fought in the First World War, and he was in the trenches in Ypres in Belgium. And while he was there, gunner Ernest Rayner received a letter every day from his sweetheart, his fiancée, the woman who had become my grandmother, although I never met her. She actually died when my mother was 4 years of age. But Mabel wrote to Ernest every day. Every day he received a letter with a penny stamp on it in the trenches. It's incredible to think that they got those letters delivered the way that they did. Every day the letter had a verse of a hymn. It had a prayer. It had perhaps a verse from the Bible. It had an encouraging story. There's one letter that my grandfather told me about just before he passed from this life into glory at the grand age of 97. And he passed on the 11th of November, Armistice Day. What a great day for an old soldier to pass into the arms of his Heavenly Father. But he told me just before he passed, he said, I received one letter, I carried it all my life. You know, he married again. He married again, having been left with my mother, his daughter, to look after. But he carried that one letter the whole of his life, because that letter contained the words of a hymn that said this: give to the wind thy fears, hope and be undismayed. God hears thy cries and counts thy tears. God shall lift up thy head. He's the lifter of our heads. I know I'll talk more about that, but friends lift our heads. See, we need friends, real friends. These are not Facebook friends. These are not digital friends. Real friends get in the mud. Real friends know us. Real friends speak the truth, have the difficult conversations, and real friends are the lifters of our heads who will remind us of a greater, a higher purpose for our lives. Remind us of what we've already done, and remind us of the promises and the dreams and the prophecies of what we will do. Friends, we need them. You need them in this complex world. And I just want to encourage you that this is available. It's a journey. It will take work. But what if friends are the answer to avoiding burnout, blowing up our lives, covering up our lives with looking for love in all the wrong places, being isolated? And what's more, what if friends will point us to a higher purpose, even partner with us, and together help us to step into the fullness of what life and God has promised for us? I'll be talking to you more about friends from the School of Friends. Thanks for listening.